do anywhere, move or do anything. Anyways, it could be it's probably the Russians. They're probably listening to me, and they're working with Trump, and they're saying, I don't like what that guy has to say. Shut him down. Cozy bear, I think is what they call it. Anyways, this is what I want to say. A lot of us grow up with this feeling that our country is solid and stuff, and you can be fooled by this because we're one of the places that everybody puts their money into. U.S. Treasury bonds. My God, we can sell Treasury bonds until we're blue in the face. Everybody's going to buy them. Why? Because we're one of the stable nations in the world. And that stability essentially is supposed to reflect our institutional stability. Now, we have just gone through a period of time where that actually was in question. And it was in question because people were trying to shake the faith of those institutions by questioning the people in those institutions and the information they're giving. What they did to the Department of Agriculture and all the scientists that were there by getting rid of them, it was a way of shaking the faith in people. The CDC, the Health and Human Services, all that stuff. So basically, we don't have institutional stability unless we agree on having institutional stability. We can't. We just can't. It is not going to exist unless we actually agree on institutional stability. So what does this do? There's going to be a tendency for Biden to come in, everybody go, you know what, pass is pass, let's move on, let's just like not do this anymore. Oh, by the way, I got to grab something here. Hold on one sec here. All right. So the what our country relies on, shockingly, is not a set of laws to protect the institutional integrity and stability of our country. Our country relies largely on norms and traditions and basic decency of the elected figures. That's frightening, because what happens if somebody comes along and doesn't possess basic dignity or have respect for norms or rituals? Well, that just happened. So what we're going to need to do is codify certain things. So, for example, if Congress sends out a subpoena, there has to have some teeth to that. If they don't have any teeth to a subpoena, what's the point of a subpoena? I mean, it's like, seriously, like, get rid of it. It's totally worthless. We have to have some type of teeth in this. Congress has been given oversight powers, and they cannot conduct oversight powers without some teeth into their subpoenas. So if they're asking the White House for information and the White House just stonewalls and says no, then you have a problem. And that's what just occurred. That's exactly what just happened. Take it a step further and put a attorney general in office that is designed to block any efforts to oversee government. Then you have a real problem. Okay, so did anybody want to come on? Somebody come on. Somebody come on so I can get rid of, so I can listen to somebody else. I'm going to answer some more questions. Tap them. Okay. Maybe I do have a loose connection. I don't want to tap anything right now. Does either Trump or, okay, we answered that question. Some of these are written so small that I can't even see. Somebody asked me about pictures of me and Newman in a photo shoot. Well, I actually don't know when those will be out because that's up to the companies. I don't even know where they're going to use it. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It's that guy Cesar, somebody, the dog trainer. I don't know. I really apologize. Okay, so I'm going to ask somebody to come on. We have requests. I'll just get somebody on. Okay. Okay, you're an Aussie, but maybe you have a different opinion. I want somebody who sort of disagrees with me. Somebody's saying, oh, well, this is really interesting. So I'm reading some of these comments. First of all, one says, do I believe in vaccinations? Good point. I want to pin this. I'm going to pin that comment. The next one is, I would love for you to get the truth, capital truth, so truth in a capital T. Allow Jehovah's Witness to study you and and the relief in finding that it's only God's kingdom that will save us and will satisfy your curiosities. Okay. That would make for a good podcast. When God comes down and shines a light on me. I have left so many messages for God to be interviewed. I have not heard back from him yet. I know that he's busy, but I'm still hopeful, and I'm happy to interview him. I have a lot of questions. Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Okay, let's talk about the vaccinations while I'm waiting for somebody to join me. And if I can't find somebody with a different opinion, fine, I'll just bring somebody else on. Listen, the vaccinations, are they going to be mandatory? It's tricky. Well, you know what? You're right. It is tricky. It's very tricky. And I think there's going to have to be some form of mandatory vaccination. I don't know if everybody has to be vaccinated. Look, at when Trump was in office and pushing this thing, I think there was a general fear that it was going to bypass the safety protocols and not go through all the phase 1, 2, and 3 trials. And some people were understandably scared, especially when you see guys from the CDC be like, bitch slapped by Trump and refuse to give us information. So I think, yes, it's going to be tricky. That's a whole nother phase we're going to get into. But this is a different type of vaccine than vaccines that we use. Remember, they're mRNA vaccines. They are not vaccines where you're injected with the actual virus and build antibodies. These are mRNA vaccines. mRNA vaccines tell your body to produce the antigens without the virus. It is a very new, fascinating horizon that we're on, and it could be a universal template to deal with all other viruses. Anyways, okay. I'm going to just get somebody on because I can't find anybody. Let's see. And then I don't have much time left. And that's okay because I did the right thing helping my mom. Let's see who we got here. All right. Did somebody request to be on? Let's go back and find out here. I'm sure somebody requested to be on. Let's see who's here. All right. Oh. Well, it says my friend Nevi is on. Now, I'm going to actually ask Nevi to join. Let's see if she answers. Nevi. Nevi is very smart. And she's from Germany. And she'll have a different perspective. But I have a feeling she's not there anymore. Okay, we're waiting. We're waiting. When we're doing a waiting thing, I think I should do jingles. Do. Okay, Nevi, I don't know where you went. But I got to move on to somebody else. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going back to my little request page and trying to get people on. Where's my request page? Okay, well, I can just tap this. All right. Okay, let's see. We're waiting for Laura Hoffman, 35. Hopefully it'll be somebody with a totally different opinion. We're waiting for Laura Hoffman, 35. Come on in. Oh, she declined. I don't blame her. There's a boatload of people watching us. I understand. People get shy. Let's see who else we have here. Well, I believe this person said they were from Australia, but we're going to find out. Farah. Let's see if you're there, Farah. Oh,
Hi.
Look what we have.
Hi,
Well,
John.
hello.
Hi, Doug.
How are you guys?
Yeah, yourself?
It's like double vision.
Yeah, we met you last year.
I know. I was going to say, I thought so. At one of those Australian conventions.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's not a lot of twins. Well, there are
Well,
probably a lot of twins, but they're not always together.
yeah, no, not always. I mean, sometimes people go, "Are you twins or sisters?"
Ah,
Yeah, and
well, these
yeah.
days, I don't know, you know. Anyways, how are you guys doing? You guys have a country
We're
that's
doing.
relatively spared of all this, most of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. We're doing quite well. So we're from far north Queensland in
Yeah,
Cairns.
yeah. I've been
Um,
to Cairns.
yeah, so we don't really have much COVID here.
It's
Um,
tropical up there.
Yeah, it's
it
starting to
is.
get really warm
Right,
now. So
right,
we're in our summer.
Yeah, it's starting to get
right.
really, really hot and humid, and yeah, we just don't
Hey, let me
like it.
ask you this: have you been watching what's happening in the United States?
Yeah, very closely, very close.
And what's the overall feeling like? Because interestingly enough, there's a lot of Trump supporters in Australia.
Mm. Well, we're not Trump supporters.
Okay, that's fine. As you can
um,
see, it's hard for me to get Trump supporters on.
mm,
And by the way, I think that's a reflection of also how intolerant we've all become about other people's political opinions.
yeah.
It's not so much them being shy; it's also us not being welcoming.
Mm.
Oh, look at my son just joined. I know my son won't join me, but anyways.
Oh,
So anyway, so tell me, what do you think? Having watched this, is there a big sigh of relief?
um,
Ooh,
Yes.
we know for a fact there are Trump supporters here in Australia, and we have
yeah.
spoken to them ourselves. And normally, when we do speak to them, we require the facts. We're both uni
Those
students, but
pesky facts. You guys with your facts.
um, we as you know, we were both uni students, and we have both graduated now.
Right.
So, so we do look for evidence to back up
Right.
what people have to say.
Right.
And so we are always interested in what both Biden and Trump supporters say. And they say they are disappointed that Biden got in.
Okay. By
So,
the way, I just want to say we did find one Trump supporter. I'm going to grab you, Graham the Huntsman, in just a minute, but we're going to finish this
there you go.
conversation first.
There you go.
But anyway, so
But we,
so you require a certain amount of veracity to this stuff. And listen, what's amazing is that you can find data on literally anything if you want. I could find data that the world is flat, and I could give you endless details about. Look, he's like, Dad, let's go. But so look at everybody is an expert in their own bullshit, so to speak. So it's
Yeah.
where they get their data. And this is kind of where we get into this issue.
Exactly.
They don't get their information from credible sources, and they
No,
don't
no.
know a credible source from a non-credible source.
And that's where social media can play a very sort of dangerous role in that regard, because mostly every single person uses social media.
Mhm.
So when they get on there, the first thing that they read is information from like news resources. So then they think, well, that must be true in a sense.
Well, I mean, absolutely. And I don't know if you guys have seen The Great Hack or The Social Dilemma. Have you seen those documentaries?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably not telling a lot of us what we don't already know, but they really define something, which is that there are algorithms, and the algorithms are designed to see what your proclivities are. So if your proclivity is for chickens, then suddenly it sends you down the dark hole of chickens, and then chicken conspiracies, and chickens that talk, and then all sorts of stuff. And it's like they don't have control of the algorithm, which is frightening. The algorithm actually collects and adjusts. That's the so-called AI aspect of it. It collects, it adjusts until they fine-tune things, and you're only getting stuff sent to you that you think you want.
Yes.
Right? And so that's fine when you're looking for a pair of shoes, but suddenly, all of a sudden, it's telling you just the news they think you want to hear. And this is really frightening. I mean, it's so frightening. I don't really know how we deal with this. And a lot of people say, well, they should manage they're a news source, therefore they should be the ones combing and filtering all this information. Yes, true, but they don't have the capacity to. These are algorithms. This is not like a man-heavy operation of people combing through information. These are algorithms that are so complex, and they're designed really for companies to sell you products, and they've been adopted for people with nefarious causes. And I don't know how you mitigate this problem, to be honest with you.
Well,
it's a very complicated situation.
To be honest, what we do is just we kind of weed out all those, and then we just look at your peer-reviewed articles, your academic articles, and then we base our assumptions on those.
Okay, but you guys are academics, so to speak. I mean, look at that. That is not typically how people get their information.
No.
So how does an average person get information that has some veracity to it, that is at least accepted by both sides? Like, where's the watering hole, so to speak, of information? Because it's not going to be academic reviews. We know that.
Yeah.
I mean, and
they
God bless the guys doing the academic reviews. I'm sure they'd love that. I'm sure the professors would love to be the rock star of information, but they're not going to.
Well, they can get information from someone like you when they log on Instagram.
And then, but here I am on a format, and provided, listen, I like to think that I'm well informed, but let's assume that I'm not, and I just start spinning bullshit, and then people are like, "Well, Joe said I should invest in typewriters," you know, and it's like, so, you know, I don't know how we do this. I have 3 kids growing up, and I'm trying to make sure that they have their critical thinking skills intact. And I just don't know how else to do it. And I don't think your average person is wanting to hunt for accuracy.
I think it's all about guidance. You have to guide them in that right path to find that information. So you can say, don't go.
Again, think about what we're saying. And I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but think about what we're saying. We're talking about guiding. We're already setting a hierarchical structure that puts us at the top. And then they go, "Oh, you elites with all your facts. You know, I know that Biden is buggering children in the back of a pizza place in D.C., and you're just not smart enough to know it." And you're like, okay, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it would be funny if it weren't so tragic. Because this is happening. People are dying. I just told you there are people in intensive care right now dying of COVID who will tell you in their last breath that COVID is a hoax.
Yeah. We have a family member who works in the health professional. He works in ED. So, yeah, he hears that a fair bit, you know, with the virus, that, you know, that it's a hoax. And it does make them frustrated because, they're trying to do all the right things in helping people. And, you know, you get the few who believe it's fake.
Yeah. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. But anyways, listen, it was lovely talking to you. I want to get this guy on because I'm going to have to go. And I want to talk to at least one Trump supporter. Hopefully he's still here. But if not, you guys are awesome. I can't wait to get back to Australia.
But to answer your first question, it was a relief for us because American politics affects not only the world, but it can also affect Australia. We are allies with the Americans. So whoever becomes president...
You wouldn't know that in the last few years. Yeah. Well, you know what they say, America catches a cold, the world catches pneumonia.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, you put the next person on.
Nice.
All right. See you guys. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. All right. So that was interesting. They're obviously very well informed. Okay. So we are going to go live with Graham the Huntsman. Come on, Graham. Be the man. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, look it.
I'm a man.
But that's hilarious because you're Graham the Huntsman. I was wrong. I thought you were a guy. I thought some bare-chested dude with a gun was going to like pop up on the screen. So you're not
Oh my goodness.
catfishing us, are you?
No, no.
Okay.
This
Good.
is an old role playing account. I can't believe I'm on here with you.
Yes,
This
you
is
are.
crazy.
It is crazy. But you said you're a Trump supporter, which
Yeah,
nothing to be
actually,
ashamed of.
actually,
You may
I'm
end up buying me a
Canadian.
beer, but you're Canadian. So you don't suffer from any of Trump's decisions as much as we do.
Well,
But anyway, tell me why you're a Trump supporter.
well, I guess mostly because Biden is worse. Um,
Okay. Now, why do you think that?
well, just the stuff that he's talked about is just kind of scary. And
Like
I
what?
mean, the fact, like, he wants to put the country in lockdown again, the US country. And I'm also, because we go to the States a lot
Yeah.
where we are in Canada,
Yeah.
and the border is still closed, and we're cut off from a lot of our friends and a lot of people
Yeah.
because of that. And
By the way,
I'm hope,
I was in Canada,
yeah.
14-day hotel
Oh,
quarantine.
really? Oh,
Yeah. I snuck in.
yeah. Oh.
Into the dark of night. But anyways, okay, so you're saying that he's going to shut down the country and that hurts you.
Yeah, and
What else?
I have more hope with Trump that he would get the border open because he's talked about that before, trying to work things out with Canada.
Okay, but let me ask you a question, and I don't mean to interrupt because I really do want to hear your opinion, but let me just ask you. How do you separate wearing masks and being safe with opening the economy? In other words, doesn't it make sense that if you had a mask mandate, it would be easier to keep the economy open, the borders open?
Yeah, if things are real,
Meaning what?
like if the virus is,
Hold
well,
on.
I'm
I
not saying
apologize.
I'm not saying that the virus. I mean,
What are
okay.
you saying is not real?
Um,
Besides me, I'm a deep fake. No, what's not real exactly?
I
This
would
gets to
say
the heart
just
of
that.
things.
Well, I would say the scale of the pandemic isn't necessarily real. I'm not saying the virus isn't real because I don't really have enough information to actually say it doesn't exist.
Right.
But I don't know. It just seems a little fishy with how things are going on.
Okay,
So
you're
like I
saying
don't.
that we're making a big deal out of something that hasn't necessarily manifested itself into this so-called catastrophe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, let's just break that down for a second.
Okay.
We know how many millions of people have caught it. I can't remember. In the United States, I think we're getting close to 20 million that have gotten it. So that is like 8% of the population or something. It's a fair amount. I don't know what the world thing is. So look at the death. The death was high when it first came, the first kind of thing. We didn't know how to handle it. We actually know how to handle it a little better. So death rates have dropped. Infection rates have gone up, death rates have gone down. So my point is, they believed and still do believe that this could be a massive catastrophe where people die. So if you're in a position like a healthcare person, do you say, hey, hey, there's this thing coming along, like the flu, just try to be careful, wash your hands, or I'm sounding the alarm because I don't know enough about this, and I think it could be a big deal, and I think people could die, and so we need to really, I need you to freak out, because if you're not freaked out, you're not going to do what I ask. Is that fake? Is that like untruths? Is that purposely manipulative?
Well, I mean, I think fear makes us do like overreact sometimes, and
True.
I
But
feel like
do we need to overreact? That's what I'm asking, because I'm not saying this rhetorically, like I know the answer. I'm just wondering, if I was ahead of the CDC and this was coming along and I knew it was airborne, I knew people could die and it was a big thing, I would be like, I would rather scare the crap out of people and have them take extra caution. And maybe it doesn't turn out that way, and maybe they're going to be pissed at me for it. I don't care. I've saved lives. But will people think that I purposely lied to them in order to have some other agenda.
I think maybe initially, like, being overcautious isn't really a bad thing, but after it's gone on for this long, it's kind of like, okay, why is it continuing? Like, I don't see people dropping dead in the streets. Do you?
No, but in our country, the infection rates have spiked through the roof. So, I mean, they're the higher than they've ever been, ever.
Yeah.
Death rates have remained relatively steady. But the other fear is this: there's a lot of places that just don't have enough beds. They just don't have enough beds. So you're running out of beds, then people do start dying. Remember at the beginning, my dog is, don't eat all the cables, pal. I know he's bored. What I'm saying is that that you initially were being told that we're going to run out of ventilators and people are going to just die from not having a ventilator. And it turns out ventilators are not really good for you. But now it's quite literally hospital space. So we're running out of hospital space at this point. So I'm just asking you what you would do if you were in a position of power and you knew something that this could potentially be dangerous, but you didn't know how dangerous. How would you phrase it? How would you tell people so that people actually believed you?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I don't think I would go as far as what has happened now, basically. I don't know. I would definitely like convey concern and try to get people to be careful. But after months, I don't know.
No, listen.
Question.
It's totally understandable not to have an answer like that because I think a lot of us, myself included, don't actually think, or that we don't put ourselves in the position of power where we would actually have to make a decision. So it's really easy for us to criticize. And I think that's important to put ourselves in a position of power. So we're like, I understand the feeling that Trump had of, I'm looking at my dog because I feel like he's chewing on things. Hey, stop chewing on things. I understand the initial feeling of like, I don't want to give people bad news. I don't want them to freak out. I don't want them to panic. I kind of get that, but that's not what I would do. But past the pandemic stuff, if you support Trump and you're Canadian, so this is unusual, but assuming you were American and you voted for Trump, you have to take the whole McTrump meal. Like you can't a la carte it. You can't go, I'm going to have the Trump fries, but I'm not having the McTrump burger. You're like, I have to eat the whole damn thing because that's the way it works. Would you still be somebody who would vote for Trump?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I guess. And and the fact that Biden supports abortion. I don't.
Okay. Well,
I
that's
don't.
legit. People have different feelings about that. That's a tough one to go down.
And like, okay, Trump isn't perfect, and I'm not claiming he's perfect. But I mean, if I could vote, I would vote for Trump because I think he's the lesser of two evils.
You do believe that he's the lesser of two evils. Okay, I'm not going to get into pro-choice, pro-life because that's a complicated discussion. Everybody has a different feeling. They get back to all sorts of stuff, morality, religion, everything else. But I got to ask you, there are 56 cases in court, and these are court documents of people in deep criminal activity, violence, where they invoke Trump's name during the act of violence. So they were beating somebody and they would say, this is for Trump. Or they're screaming and yelling and bashing somebody and they go, Trump told you to leave this goddamn country. Now, there are these cases, like, to me, I find this disturbing because they went back and they looked at George W. Bush and Obama to find how many acts, criminal acts, there were invoking their names while they were in those criminal acts. They couldn't find any. They could not find any cases of criminal acts where they invoked the president while they were doing their criminal act. This is disturbing. And this is a guy who wants people to hurt each other and be divided in order to stay in power, the way I see it. And does that give you any concern that he has not come out and said, calm down, we don't want this, we don't want violence, we don't want that, I'm not for this type of divisiveness? He doesn't do that. And does that concern you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't always watch the news, so I guess I don't know all of all of the facts of Trump and what he does or doesn't do. And the fact that people would say that, like, do violence and say that this is for Trump, that doesn't sound right. So
it doesn't, but it works for him.
yeah.
So here's what's interesting. And I only say this, and I don't mean to be condescending and like I'm telling you things that you know or don't know, but
You're talking to me.
But I live
really
in
cool.
America. I live in America, and I got to deal with this. And I did work in politics, so I have a little bit of knowledge about this. But here's the thing: not all Trump supporters are racist. They're just not. I know a lot of really good people that are close. I mean, my brother. There are my sister. I mean, there are people that I love to death that are Trump supporters, and they're close, and I don't want to give that up because they have a different political opinion. And it's been frustrating. Not all Trump supporters are racist. They're just not. It's a total fallacy. But all racists are Trump supporters. Now, how is that? Like, literally, you will not find one white supremacist group that is pro-Biden. You will not find that. You will find all the Klansmen, the Proud Boys, all the guys that went to that march and yelled, "Jews will not replace us." They're all Trump supporters. Doesn't that give you cause that you're in company of people like that? Doesn't that make you nervous? But by the way, you're in Canada, so you're not really in that company. But I'm wondering, maybe you'd think differently if you were actually in America having to vote. But look at.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like the idea of that. But it's like I don't know who else I would vote for, and I wouldn't vote for Biden. So would you vote? You
But
would
you're
vote
not
for
voting.
Biden?
Are you not voting for Biden because he is like against certain issues like abortion, and he's pro-life, he's pro-choice, and you're not?
Yeah, and
Okay.
also he's on the left, so he's not conservative. So
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything unless we break it down. And so Trump himself is not a conservative. Trump doesn't know what a conservative is. Having said that, Trump has pushed the conservative agenda a lot. He's put a lot of conservative judges on court, and he's pushed a lot of things that the evangelicals want to see happen and so forth. So he's been good to Christian conservatives. But he himself, as we know, is not really a conservative. I mean, unless you can be like a conservative who sleeps with porn stars while your wife is at home pregnant and you can pay her off and do all that, and that still qualifies you as a Christian conservative. I don't know. We all make mistakes, but it seems like an odd, it seems like an odd qualifier. So I think you probably wouldn't even disagree that he's probably not a true Christian conservative, right? Okay.
No.
But he's pushing the agenda.
yeah,
So you're willing to put up with it.
yeah,
Right.
I would if I was American.
Okay. He's lost. He's moving. He's gone. What's going to happen? Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're nervous because of the economy shutting down? Or you're nervous because of...
Yeah, I that's one thing, and also like the border to be shut down for
Yeah.
a very, very long time.
Okay.
and just the left agenda is just makes me a little nervous.
Okay. Well, I mean, you seem like a super reasonable person. You have your opinions. Like, and when you get to issues like abortion, I think it's complicated because that's not a place where I want to convince people, because that's not my place to convince people about that. That's a deeply personal thing, and I think it would be wrong of me to try to convince anybody otherwise. But if you're talking about some of the other things about whether the pandemic is real, I would argue with them whether the fear that Biden, see, here's the thing. Biden could switch his title and be a moderate Republican, and you still wouldn't know the difference. There's not really much difference between a moderate Republican and a moderate Democrat. There's very little. And you're not going to see massive change. The progressive wing of the party does not have control of Biden. So that was something that was used as a tool in the election, and it was effective. It was effective. Defund the police, all that stuff. That's not going to happen. But it was effective, and that's what politics do. But this is the only thing I'd say is that you say you don't watch the news.
I watch some news. Some.
Well, this is kind of interesting because people don't watch the news. It's like mainstream media is what they call it. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I was like, what is mainstream media exactly? Do we measure that by how many people watch the news? Because if that's the case, Fox News has twice as many viewers as CNN. They have more viewers than CNN and MSNBC combined. So doesn't that technically make them the mainstream media? I don't know. But it's a convenient way of saying, I don't believe this. Nothing is going to be a font of unrelenting truth. There's going to be no news that will ever do that. But mainstream media is not the boogeyman that everybody thinks it is. Really hesitant about people who get their information online. I think social media is a bad place to get your information. I really do. I think that we have to be really careful. I mean, I don't know if you heard that spiel, and I'm talking too much, but I spieled at the end of the beginning of the thing, talking about unless we get back to facts and data, we're kind of screwed. We really are. And I feel I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know where we're going to go in order to do that. But if I had more time, I could sit here with you and I could lay out some statistics, and I have a feeling you might change your mind about the pandemic per se, or whether Biden is actually evil. I think you'd have a different opinion about it. That being said, you may still support Trump because of other moral and ethical things. But oh my God, I don't know what else to say. I feel like this was supposed to be over, and it's not really over. It's not over. So anyway, listen, you have been so patient, and I've been doing all the talking, and I really apologize. But will you come on next time I come on, and maybe we'll try to finish this conversation?
I would.
Okay, and I'm really happy that you tuned in. And I really don't want to drive any people away that are Trump supporters. Some people are doing this thing that are like, it's called the great unfollowing. You're supposed to unfollow anybody who supports Trump. And I said, oh, so unfollow half the country? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Unfollow my brother and my sister? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't believe in that. I think that's nonsense. I think engagement is the only way we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
That and buying me a beer.
Well, I would do that.
All right, you're awesome.
Can I just say?
Yes.
Let me just say one thing. That I love you on Stargate Atlantis.
Well, thank you.
I can't believe that I actually get to see you.
I know it still airs a lot in Canada.
Crazy. It's just crazy.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you.
Yeah, great talking
to you. You take care,
too.
and I love your moniker that you're the rifleman. You're the hunter.
Graham, the huntsman. It's from Once Upon a Time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Old thing.
Well, next time I see you, maybe you'll be in a werewolf outfit. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. I have to go. I am late. I apologize. But I am going to come on tomorrow. And I'm going to come on earlier tomorrow than I normally come on because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday ever. Why? I'll tell you why. Because it's just about a good meal and being grateful and hanging out with friends and family. Hopefully we can do friends and family this year. But the point is, it's this simple act of gratitude. It doesn't involve buying crap, buying shit, and getting into this Christmas thing. And listen, I love Christmas, don't get me wrong, and all that. But Thanksgiving, and for those of people around the world who don't celebrate it, is a tradition where lore goes, the pilgrims were starving to death one very, very tough winter, and the Native Americans took it upon themselves to feed them and show them some of the ways of growing certain things. Now, do the Native Americans regret that? I'm going to say possibly yes. Nonetheless, what an act of generosity that we have carried this thing forward. A simple act of gratitude. Gratitude is the glue. It's the glue, baby. People aren't happy by trying really hard to be happy. People are naturally happy, mostly because it's a outgrowth of gratitude. God, somebody shut me up. Anyways, you guys are awesome.